10 seconds. In 5. Hello and welcome everyone to the First Circuit Podcast, episode number 40. I am your host, Biter. Well, I guess old Bob is our host, but that's our crew for today. Say hello, old Bob. I can hear you. Everything all right on your end? We can start again if need be. Though, just to practice in the meantime or whatnot, for today we'll be covering
Test.
basically all the stuff that's happened from last patch. So we're going to go through all the changes.
Got it. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. we can start more professionally if you wish, but we're covering all the stuff that came in the new patch changes, how we've experienced them, and the new stuff. So there's a couple of new events and a new sale that's come up. And I think at the end, we may cover some casual topics like how LRMs, new community spotlight.
Yes. Community Spotlight to go and help out the community.
Yes. All right. So what shall we start with today? I guess the big boy in the room would be the blood asp.
Yeah, the Blood Apps. And how'd you like the Blood Apps?
It's okay. I only got the standard pack, so my options are really quite limited.
Mm-hmm.
It of course has the ECM variants, and once it comes out for C-bills or whatever, I'll be able to change out most of the hard points.
Yeah.
Though I'm still quite salty about like the hero having the high missile hard points and being able to do the more missile boaty type stuff. It's really tricky mech to build for, at least for me, with the limited hard points I can choose from, and there's a fair amount of tonnage, but not a lot, and not a lot of space either. So you have difficulties cramming in enough stuff or enough heavy stuff.
Yes. Yeah, basically with me, I found that the only one I liked was the hero one, to tell you the truth. All the other ones, I just didn't feel anything for them, and plus also gave me plus 30% SEBO boost. I really like that one. But you're right though, I had a hard time actually putting in things into this thing, and what I came up with was the 2 LB20s with four medium pulse lasers, and it did pretty well. I was going to average about 600 to 800 like per game, but I mean, it's all the other builds. I tried a full laser build, couldn't do it. I tried a whole bunch of other type of stuff, and the only thing I could really come up with is this. I'm sure like you have a couple of builds that you have that kind of worked out, but like you're saying though, it's just like it was like it was there. It was an okay mech, hard to build for, but it was okay. It was okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I feel a lot of times like I wish it had a lot of torso twistiness to it.
Yeah.
How does it in fact compare?
I mean,
It's got more torso twist to the Mad Cat Mark II, but with this thing, I'm feeling like I'm a big giant walking blob that has to expose quite a bit to get its weapons on target. And
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of cowardly blood asp players as a result. And as an assault mech, that's not a great sign. Though the best thing about it is always has been just it has ECM, so you can poke up from a certain piece of cover or whatever, and have the enemy be a bit slower to respond to you on average.
Yeah, that's what I was finding out too. Is the high mount actually worked to my advantage? Because I did like on my stream on Tuesday, I did several games where I just barely hit the top of the mountain and fired, and basically I got like 2 LB20 rounds onto a lot of mechs, did a lot of damage. That's the way I was getting a lot of stuff. Doesn't have really a tankiness as far as like like you're saying, torso twisting per se, and it's really hard to go and do it because it's like, of course I don't have any skills in it. Go move it like with a torso twist, but it turned out that using it as a sniper mech, Gauss rifles. I mean, I didn't do the Gauss rifles because I suck at them, but I did the LB20s and it worked out very nicely with the top mounted stuff.
I'd say its shape is interesting, and if you torso twist a bit, you still have a really large, at least center torso profile. Like the way to kill the blood asp, it seems for me, is you core it out.
Yeah.
It typically wants to use its torso weapon, so it's aiming at you directly a lot of the time with them. So you aim at the center torso, and if it twists, it's still got that big nose poking out. It's still quite the arms struggle to shield it at times.
Yeah,
the arms
true.
the arms though do take a fair bit of flack, though. In the same way, I think it feels a bit like the Hunchback 2C's arms. They take a bit of the fire because people just shoot at the edge of the box, as soon as they can shoot at you.
Yeah.
And if they can shoot at anything, they might as well hit the arm as it's the last thing or the first thing out of cover. But it's not that effective at shielding. It's no Fafnir. It's not getting called out all the time. But the best way to kill out a Bloodass sometimes is you take a brawler, you get close, blam, everything goes to the CT, and it dies very quickly.
I don't know, like, I kind of disagree with you on the shielding arms. It does have some pretty big ass arms to go shield with. If you're totally on the side of it, you literally have just the legs and the arms. Of course, the top amount of weapons will get hit from the torso if you aim for that. But the big gigantic box it has for a fist, it could shield some stuff, like for the torso.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit like Atlas arms. The most direct correlation, I guess, is that at a full 90-degree twist, they do a nice job at shielding. However, less than that, I mean, they're better than Atlas arms, I would give you that. But it's just getting to that full twist, 90 degrees, is pretty tricksy with it. And at least if you want to kill Blood Asps, a lot of the time when they come around to try and face you and they're trying to slowly twist away, you just shoot at the center torso and they'll go down pretty quickly.
True. But I have to say, one thing I love about it, it's like a drunken duck walk. I love that. They did a really good job on how it walks on the battlefield. I thought that was freaking awesome.
Yeah, I do really like its waddle. As I refer to it. I'm a blood asp.
The like assault waddle, like I think I'll call it that now, the assault waddle. It worked out pretty well. It was neat to see 4 blood amps like on the field waddling towards the battlefield, waddling to the middle basically. I thought that was just great to watch. I wish you would have clipped that or something like that. It would have been cool.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. I think though, of course, it's no new Mad Cat Mark II or Kodiak that's going to take the field by storm. It's got way too many more issues. It's not got those high peaking profile. All the weapons, all the hard points can be put on target.
Yeah.
And you're stuck with a fixed engine and fixed slots, really restricting somewhat what you can build with it. I'm gonna have to wait to really deliberate on it when I actually get all the reinforcement hard points. Maybe there's some cool ones there that I can really glob onto, because other than happening to get the ECM to start with in the standard pack, I'm not caring too much about these hard points.
Well, the only ones that we talked about before was the A and B that has the that has the ECM, and you can switch out the Omnipods, and that's pretty much the only ones you really need, like the standard pack.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and like there was nothing behind a paywall like for this one, right?
So there's no ECM behind the paywall.
Yeah.
But obviously there's different hardpoint configurations that you get from the reinforcement and hero pack.
Well, yeah. But in general, though, like you're looking at, I mean, the standard pack, if you get that, it's well worth it. Like if you picked it up when it had the extra, bonuses, like the extra SEPO bonuses, everything else for the first 30 days, great deal. And then, even now for $8, you get 3 mechs plus the, plus the premium time. So if you're gonna pick up anything, pick it up. If you like assault mechs, if you like clan easy button mechs, go ahead and pick it up too.
Yeah, there's not the most easy button of button clan mechs, but at least the value of the ECM, at least to me, is the big draw.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
And I am trying some funky loadouts, so Gauss Rifle, 4 medium and the high mounts, and then trying to make use of the low arms. I'll put LRMs there so that when I've not got much to shoot at, they can still, arc over cover, and I can use them to aim over my shoulder and be a bit more flexible than the torso weapons. Oh
yeah, true. Actually, that's a really good idea to use LRMs and arms, because you're just looking at the just torso mounted weapons are a little bit higher, like on this one. So yeah, that's a good idea. Let's try that.
Yeah, it's not too bad, but it's always at least firing the lows and the mediums together with 18 double heat sinks still get pretty toasty.
True, true. Oh my
So,
god.
to wrap up with the Blood Asp, we should probably talk about the Blood Asp challenge.
Yay, hold on a second. Yay. Blood Apps challenge.
For the most part, it's pretty standard stuff, I think, right?
Yeah, basically, in fact, let me get to it. Hold on a second.
So, to give people the details, as usual, if you got the standard pack, then you get 1,000 damage with each variant, and at the end of it, you get 3 million C-bills to help you recuperate the costs of building 3 mechs. If you've got the collector's pack, then you need to do 2,000 damage with the Prime S variant, and that will unlock you the Applejack Blood S pattern, which Applejack pattern isn't that
Yeah,
amazing, honestly.
it's not the good thing.
The hero will give you the little standing cockpit item, the Blood Asp Walk, for doing 2,000 damage.
Yeah.
And reinforcements is do 1,000 damage with each of those, and you get another 2 million C-bills.
Well, no, second. The cockpit. Okay, when they inputted the cockpit standing items of the walk-in mechs. Okay, I have to. I'll reach. Like, I got to redirect that there. I like those. They're not that bad. They're pretty cool to go see them walk along. Walk along with a little bit of animation. Like they got a pool of gold with the dragon. One of them basically. I think those are cool ideas to go and have as cockpit standing like items. But the problem is though, like when you give them out like candy, they don't turn out to be rare, and people don't want to spend MC for them. But I do like the concept of that whole thing. It's really cool.
Yeah. Other things also, just by the way, talking about cockpit items, like it's interesting they're doing different walking ones each time for the most part. This one's quite similar, I think, to the Annihilator one. It's got the Blood Ass walking on what looks like a dirt road.
A dirt
It's
road?
going in a straight line.
Yeah.
Whereas other ones like the Arctic Wolf will have it spinning in place for some reason, which gets really distracting.
Yeah.
The Blood Ass for some reason looks really teeny compared to other walking ones. Like it's smaller than my Arctic Wolf walking statue.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why the model on this one is so small. It looks so teeny, and it's supposed to be such a big, giant, slow stomping mech.
Let me see if I can bring that up there.
Like the Annihilator is, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 times taller than it. Its walking animation.
Yeah, they got the Mad Cat walking. I see that one. I'm trying to find the Blood Apps.
Should be near the top, of course, of standing are the ones that you...
Yeah. I probably didn't get that one, actually.
Might have been the pre-order, because I got 3 of them.
It was probably in the pre-order. That's probably why, actually.
Yeah.
And I got some that are blocked out for some dumb reason. I don't know why. I'll have to check into that.
There's a whole bunch of bits and bobs. So, like, there's a steel asp standing on item, which is little Snook on a wooden plink, wooden thingy. It's okay. There's a snake that hangs from the thing that I can't really see because it's so tiny. But the big thing, the warhorn. Have you heard the warhorn?
I don't think I did actually. It was what's it called?
It's called Snake Charmer.
Oh yeah, I did actually. That one's pretty cool. Yeah.
It's alright. Not one of my favorites, but it'll do.
Blood Ass. It has the ambiance of being that type of thing, so it's not bad. Snakes, Blood Ass, that type of stuff.
Yeah, and at least I have that decal from before where I can plaster "I'm a Snick" all over it.
I'm a Snick. Oh my god, I'm a Snick. Nice. But yeah, overall though, like I think probably get it like a B. Basically they had some big hoopla about the way the Blood Apps actually looks, and I mean it still looks fine. It's not it doesn't have the big ass cannons that they had before, but it still looks fine though now.
Yeah, though it's always it's kind of a letdown with those big cannons. Like they're mounted at the bottom of the cannon. There's just this huge casing structure above it for no reason, and like when you put a whole bunch of medium lasers in one torso, they all start peppering down into its chest region rather than occupying that high cannon location.
True, it does, huh? Well,
Just sort of odd for the designers, at least, sort of in lore or whatever, like people put these big giant cannons on it and then they just start populating weapons down in the chest region for some reason and put everything at the bottom of the cannon mount. It just doesn't make the most sense. Like with the Fafnir, even with those big giant nipples, it's
yeah.
you put the weapon right in the center there.
Well, there's two things going on with this though. You're looking at the designers for the game itself, like Jordan Wiseman and BattleTech, or let's go with lore, basically. Let's go with that lore route. Okay, it was designed for a specific purpose. That's why they have the cannons high and then the medium lasers low, because it couldn't put them up there because of heat distribution or the energy couldn't get up there or the whatever, basically, and that's why they do it. Then we have, like I had a discussion with a person about BattleTech, what I'm doing on BattleTech. Keep it to change it. Okay, us would say put all the weapons on a big ass arc on the shoulders and the arms and the shoulder pads and like put all the weapons like that, just so we could go over the hill and shoot like crazy, right? That's what we would do, basically, as a BattleTech, like as a BattleTech, I guess, messing around with BattleTech and like Mechwarrior Online. But in design theory though, this is actually, it will work out fine because of the lore aspect of it being more of a couldn't get the energy distribution right or something like that.
Perhaps. Though from a aesthetic standpoint, just putting the barrels in the middle of the shoulders would look a lot better than having these weird sort of arches above.
Yeah.
That's just my plain and simple take on it. Otherwise, I'm guessing at least whilst technically you would want the mounts to be as high as possible, so to speak. I mean, actually, well, the thing is, you can make some arguments that the weapons are very much more closer to the cockpit, so there's less convergence issues, and somewhat, if you mount all the weaponry higher, then the mech becomes less stable, because you're putting more weight up high.
See, just like design theory, like, of why mechs are certain ways. Like the Shadowhawk, only has these type of weapon systems for that chassis, but then that other chassis, the Shadowhawk, the 2D2, with 2H are completely different, so they put the weapons in certain ways. Because the gyroscope was designed a certain way to do that kind of stuff, and that's why basically the mechs are designed the way they are.
Yep. Though, I just still, aesthetically, it's a bit like the Hunchback. You don't want all the weapons to populate from the bottom of the hunch.
Yeah.
Populate them from the middle.
Oh yeah, true.
It looks good, and it'll look nice and proper. But that's just my own minor gripe.
Okay.
All right. So there's a few other things. I think we should get on to. There was a couple of things we mentioned last week that didn't actually make it this patch.
Oh dear God, not this one. Everyone's gonna get buttered
one
over
was
this.
the Mad Cat Mark II's torso yaw angles being reduced.
Yes.
And I'm not sure. Like, I haven't heard much about that because I didn't think it was like. I mean, the Mad Cat Mark II is probably quite a good performer on average. It does have a lot of very good qualities for it, and so mildly reducing its agility would help temper it a little bit.
There's a lot of butthurt on Twitter basically based off that, because the light mechs were just owning Mad Cat Mark IIs, and most of it is just yeah. Well, like that was before though, and now basically they were saying like if you change the yaw like angle for the Mad Cat Mark II, they're gonna just own them even more now. I don't know, that was just on Twitter though.
The Assault Mech, like the Fafnir, isn't going to, like, other than with its Jaw Heavy Goose, of course, but the Fafnir, of course, also doesn't really enjoy people twisting around it. No really big Assault Mech really does.
Exactly.
Honestly. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I don't think this is a particularly special case with the Mad Cat Mark II, honestly.
I mean, like, I don't play. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and at least for mechs, I like to circle around. Mechs like the Highlander 2C or whatever has its weapons spread all over the place, whereas a Mad Cat Mark II, when it does get you in its sights, it's it's nice weapon locations. It feels nice and easy to just predict where the shots will go.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't play assault mech, so I can't really tell you much about how like people get butthurt over lights attacking you. So I can't go there. That's more of like you guys than me.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't have been too impacted by that. Honestly, I haven't really had any trouble when piloting a Mad Cat Mark II with lights. At least it's usually, of course, as an assault mech, I stick with the team. I push at the front line, and at the very front, of course, the lights don't want to be there.
Yeah.
And if they try and flank around, I've got my whole team acting as my rear armor. So I've never really had that problem, honestly. And typically, I have like Goose or medium lasers, or like the Brawl setup, SRMs, LB20s, and I could usually get a good blam on them and shoo them away, or trade fairly well for an assault mech with this thing.
Get a good what? A blam?
A
Is that
good
what it's called?
blam
Blam?
on them. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Basically
So
that's why they did the rescale, right? Because light mechs were actually just charging into assault mechs, and they could just unload on them, and the assault mech can't do anything, right?
They were very agile and very small, so yeah, they were
Yeah.
incredibly tricksy targets to hit. And a big thing about light play was actually sort of going gung ho and jumping in the midst of the enemy.
Yeah.
Which is why mechs like the Street Crow, at least, I often like playing, because it doesn't matter how fast or small you are. I just lock on and I put a huge bunch of damage into you. And
Exactly.
lights back in that day was quite squishy, because they didn't. The lights that people were taking around, in the sphere had buffs to the legs and whatnot to keep them going a little longer.
Mhm.
But it wasn't. It's not Wolfhound level,
Yeah.
buffing that light mechs now kind of rely on.
True. I mean, yeah, I don't see why they caved on that. That wasn't too big of an issue for the Mad Cat Mark II. So, but PGI has a issue with caving in for a couple of people.
Now, the other big change that was reverted, and I think the one that much more warranted attention and outcry from people,
Yeah.
so to speak, would be at least the energy ghost heat changes.
Yep. Ah.
I would say so the thing with like the heavy large, at least, was like you could only fire one at a time before ghost heat,
Yeah.
and the heavy large has a very long duration, etc., etc. And like, even though it's been fairly, it's been adopted across a fair number of mechs, it's sort of on the edge of being viable because of that huge amount of heat and the long burn duration, the long cooldown. It's got a lot of downsides to it.
Oh yeah.
But being able to fire two at once is, good enough to, almost build your mech around. At least with some extra fires, fire added to it with medium lasers.
Oh yeah.
If they did that ghost heat change to heavy larges, it would have mostly eradicated it from the game.
Well, yeah, it would have done that. The issue I had was, after taking a really good look at the at the ghost heat and everything, I kind of agree with everybody. Don't get me wrong, I do, but then I don't. There's something called mouse buttons that you can actually do that on. So basically, people have 7. It went from 7 to 5 for the medium ER mediums. So you could put 3 and 4 like on different mouse buttons. Now, granted, for me, because I have really bad hand control and like arthritis in my hand, I use like maybe up to 4 buttons at the most. I'm 3 almost all the time, but 4 if I really have to, type thing. But I mean, it literally wouldn't actually change a lot of different things. Just put it on a different mouse button. You could fire it like a second or two afterwards. So like you don't have the massive 300-point damage like Alpha Strike that a lot of people do. So you just go ahead and just shoot, and go a little bit, shoot again, go a little bit, shoot again. As far as the one heat, the one heavy laser thing, I kind of agree on that though, because it pretty much wipe it out of the game. Because a lot of people build their builds off of two heavy lasers, which does 36 points of damage at close range, like under optimum range.
Range is
Yeah,
optimum.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Decent range. It's in the sphere large range.
Yeah, that's crazy about it. And then they didn't do any nerfs for the inner sphere. I kind of agree with a lot of people like on that. But I mean, they should have done extra testing. PGI should have done like extra testing, or even do little increments. Like, we're going to increase the heat for heavy large lasers, if you fire 2 of them, so it's going to be like, instead of like whatever it is to something else, you know, type thing. So like, you know, or like decrease the damage or something like that. Little increments would have been better, because, you know, just like a pot of boiling water, the frog doesn't notice if it's turned on a little bit. If you pop him in, he's going to pop, you know, if you just pop him in a boiling water, he's going to pop right out. So that's what they did. So I agree with the community on this. At first I didn't. I'm like, okay, this is no big deal, just adapt, right? But then like, I'm like, well, yeah, you know, the heavy lasers will be a problem because a lot of mechs are developed specifically for that. So yeah, a PGI cave, they should have done this. They should have did PTS. They should have, you know, like little tiny things instead of doing what they do. And I know what they're going through, because I used to be in business a lot. Yeah, and you gotta do certain things, you know, basically to appease the public, and it sucks.
So yeah, PGI have the general policy of slowly putting out changes and announcing ahead of time where they are planning somewhat to go with things.
Yeah.
And this Ghost Heat change, particularly for 2 big weapon systems, relatively big weapon systems in the clan laser game, sort of came out of left field. And I think, at least given their usual tactics of, you know, saying, hey, we're going to think about, you know, looking at clan mediums and heavies and whatnot, and rebalancing that,
Yeah.
it would make complete sense.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
as it is, at least, you know, there's they suddenly throw this on the community, and the community pushes back quite hard, because it's just spontaneously, oh hey, we're just going to completely change the energy weapons game.
The whole meta builds basically are now gone, you know, type thing.
Yeah, a fair number, but the thing is, it doesn't even, like, you know, if you do 2 larges, 4 mediums, and dual Gorse on the Death Strike, it's a bit hotter, sure, but it's still got the crazy Alpha Strike. It doesn't even solve the problem fully.
Well, yeah.
The I would say, at least in my mind at least, about Ghost Heat changes is Ghost Heat is obviously, you know, it's a nerf. It feels bad to have, you know, more Ghost Heat restrictions put on us and hurt, and people are loss averse, so it hurts twice as much as it would to increase the Ghost Heat values,
Yeah.
particularly since, you know, if you doing 8 mediums all at once, it's super hot. It's going to be a real difficult thing to actually fit enough on, and, you know, like, that's not as much of an improvement as, you know, reducing the number
Well,
of weapons you can use.
a lot of
What I
people.
would say though,
Go ahead.
the thing with Ghost Heat changes is it changes how restrictive the game is about what weapons you can fire together, or how you have to do your firing solution. Because, you know, you're making the argument of adapt, just fire one group and then the other, but doing so completely changes the firing profile and the general mission parameters of mechs who are playing like that. It's very
Yeah.
different moving up and firing 3 medium lasers, then 3 medium lasers, because that's like you're spending, I don't know exactly how long, but let's just say 3-ish seconds there staring at the opponent. Whereas if you had all 6 fired at once, you move up, boom, and you get back into cover, and you've spent, you know, 1-2 seconds or so. Like, you
Yeah.
know, it's a lot less face time,
I
and that's a really important thing for getting your damage out.
I definitely agree with you. Like on it changes the dynamics of the game. Like on the next weapon change, like it totally changed the whole dynamic of using the weapon system. But you are right though. You know, changing, you know, like little tiny things changes everything about the game and how people play, including events and how people play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this change was set to be make Clan Laser Vomit a lot more restrictive with how you can use those hard points. And I think a very important factor, at least a very difficult one, is somewhat a lot of mechs, like in the clan libraries, are stuck with a large number of energy hardpoints, and over time the Ghost Heat requirements are going, you know, smaller and smaller and smaller, so they have to fire, you know, small amounts of weapons every time. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you have to do so many different weapon groups, and all of them are hot enough as it is.
And those
Um,
mechs I won't even use, because like if they actually put in that change, it's like, okay, well, you know, half these mechs I won't even use because they have all these energy hard points. Going to change the whole dynamic of how that mech is used in game now. So yeah.
Yeah, and they crunched down a bit on the clan smaller lasers, for example, at least like small pulse.
Hmm.
So some mechs like Executioner, Gargoyle, and whatnot really loved using mass small pulse, but that was kind of nerfed down. And then there's like, okay, well, I can't do lots of small pulse, but I'll do a whole bunch of medium lasers, and then it becomes even more restrictive. It's like
Like
I
shooting
was I
butts,
was
huh?
saying to people, like I have a mech called Glowy Fists, which has it had initially what was it, I think 11 small pulse, uh, 5 in each fist, but then they nerfed the damage of the small pulse, and then being a small pulse 100-ton brawler wasn't really as great an idea, because the thing was, it just at least it had this huge close up firepower.
Hmm.
And as a 100-tonner, you don't necessarily, it's really hard to stick close to people and win trades when you're having to win over time with the slower, the lower damage for small pulse. So I went to medium pulse, 5 medium pulse in each fist. And that too, with this change, of course, would be too much. 5
Yeah.
medium pulse. Oh no, I'd have to change the build entirely, because you're saying just adapt your firing groups. Well, I'd have to do 4 in left fist, 4 in right fist, 2 random medium pulse left over in either fist to finish off. Just complete. It just completely changes how I really can play that.
Yeah, but
10 medium pulses.
basically, like I say, like adapt, basically as far as, you need to adapt as far as being a pilot, in this game itself, because there will be changes that you do not like, and basically you're like, okay, well, either I quit or I adapt. So, what I meant though, like through the whole process is you have to adapt your playstyle according to what changes the game, because if you don't, you're just gonna get bum rushed and killed. So that's what I mean by adapting, not like, oh, you better adapt or else, man. But it's just more, like you have to adapt in your different gameplay styles.
Yeah, I would say let's I think from my own opinion about all these types of changes stuff, PGI is quite right in some regards,
Yeah,
in regards to the sheer amount of damage that Clan Laser Vomit can put out in one volley. It is something that is not really the same, I don't think, with mass in a sphere vomit. It can get up there, but in a sphere laser vomit, it struggles with enough fitting in enough double heat sinks, and its weapons are
hmm,
hotter and not so long ranged, etc., etc. Um, I would say, like, it's kind of funny, at least in my slight opinion. I've said, Daka in quick play isn't as prevalent as it used to be. Well, why? Because heavy, large laser, medium laser combo vomits, so to speak, typically take that slot a lot better. They are able to put out a huge amount of damage in one big burn, whereas the Daka is not able to stand up, to enough of those volleys to really, put in the damage over time.
yeah, true.
Um,
Like I know, so like, basically ton for ton though, do you think that the laser vomit is better than the DACA vomit?
so I think, the way the game is sort of balanced, but I'll get onto that. Is the way is sort of balanced is, of course, laser vomit is very hot. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's very lightweight. You can put in a whole bunch of heat sinks, but there's only so much space, and even then, a full alpha strike with a huge amount of lasers will get you really hot. So, 6 clan medium lasers can be a viable weapons loadout right now, but it's really hot when you fire all 6 over and over again. Um,
Yeah.
whereas Daka, of course, as we sort of saw a little bit in Solaris, is you're able to stand, as you stand at a place where you've got long lines of sight on the enemy, and you just Daka. You've got good damage per heat. You are able to keep pouring damage out, and you can outperform those laser boats. Same somewhat with missiles; they have good damage per heat. You're putting the tonnage in, so you have heat efficiency typically.
Oh, hold on. You just said the bad word called lerms. You said that bad word, man. Don't be saying that here.
I said missiles.
Yeah.
But LRMs are at least
Yeah.
more efficient than
Yeah.
laser vomit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're engaging in mid-range, like an LRM boat, somewhat could out-endure a laser boat.
Well, yeah,
Um,
basically, but like, over time though, I think though that a lot of people don't bring enough tonnage as far as DACA, compared to laser boats, where you just keep on shooting until that thing just pops off your arm, pretty much. So I think over time, and then also efficiency, I do think the lasers are a lot better than DACA though.
So the thing is, lasers are easy to use. You point and click.
Yeah.
They are easy to fit, and you point, click, get pinpoint damage, and you can put a huge burn on target.
Yeah.
But the way they are supposed to be balanced is they are really hot. So you can do that once or twice. Well done. You've done, your 60 damage alpha twice. Now me with my Daka build, I'm doing 40 damage over and over and over again until the end of time.
Until you ran out of ammo.
Or you run out of
Yeah.
ammo. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, if you think of like the laser vomit Hellbringer versus the 4 LB10 Cyclops. The Cyclops, of course, Cyclops hero has put
Yeah.
a huge amount of tonnage into its Daka, and that Daka is very heat efficient. It can keep shooting for a very long time for the most part.
Yeah,
And
Go on.
40 damage is a respectable alpha. 40, 40, 40. Whereas a laser vomit has a long turnover time and it does just 60 and it can fire twice.
Yeah, but you're talking about one-on-one Solaris. Like I'm talking about actually on the field, because he could stare down the laser vomit guy, but the laser vomit guy shoots twice, goes behind a building, and then he's out in the open because he actually started started like beelining it though.
The thing is, the Daka is able to assert map control because the laser vomits can shoot, but then they have to run and hide.
True, yeah.
A Daka mech takes terrain and holds it. That 4 LB10 Cyclops. Anybody who comes near, who pushes into them, and anyone he pushes into is taking that 40 damage over and over and over again until somebody falls over dead.
Yep, you're right.
Inevitable grinder of Daka, so to speak. I mean, Daka in large enough volumes, particularly UAX, they get hot nonetheless. But that is how the game is balanced. You put more tons into Daka so that you can grind people and win map control with endurance. There is, however, one big thing that changes everything, at least particularly after the skill tree change, and that would be cool shots.
Oh yeah.
In my mind, at least, this is the fundamental problem. Like a clan laser vomit could put out, I don't mind necessarily 70 damage in one go and pinpoint. I mean, that is pretty crazy, but that heat gauge runs up to like 60-70% or whatever. It's pretty damn hot already.
Yep.
And they're just barely able to put all that stuff in. The big thing though is if I push against a good clan laser vomit, they've got all the heat gen reduction nodes, they've got all the operations tree maybe, and they've got double maximized cool shot. They're able to do a burn, they're able to do another burn, they pop a cool shot, and they do a third burn. They actually have staying power. It's pretty tricky for a Daka mech to actually really trade effectively and grind down a laser vomit when it has two big safety blankets.
You're right in that. You are definitely right in that. And basically, we talked about that before as the magic button, the magic frost thing, or whatever it is. That's what I was laughing about just now, actually.
Yeah, the whole game is balanced around heat management, or at least ostensibly it is. All the weapons generate heat. Heat limits how much damage you can actually put out there. But the thing is, with the new skill tree, you have two powerful mana potions that you can take for no tons or no slots, just a couple of skill points invested, like 6 or 7. For 6 or 7 skill points, you have two powerful mana potions. And these mana potions, of course, are really effective with the mana-hungry laser vomit. Laser vomit's easy, it's effective, and you just regenerate your ability to keep shooting. Yeah?
Plus, also reload time actually had definitely affects balance, and then overtime basically when you shoot your laser, you got to make sure it's pinpoint like on the one certain location. So duration and reload time actually balances out much of this game as well too.
Oh yeah. There's so many numbers and stuff to it.
Yeah.
But my fundamental point is that at least medium. So all the lasers are somewhat supposed to be held back by their heat. And in my mind, whilst making lasers more kind of air and making it a lot harder to build a big cohesive energy boat is a way to solve the problem, it doesn't quite to the fundamental problem. The fundamental problem is that everybody can chug a mana potion, because sure, we could keep gimping laser boats until they're just so unfun and so hard to play or at least so pedantic to play that I have to fire 2 medium lasers every time because 14 damage is too scary, you know. You nerf it to the ground, what happens? Well, I'm just going to take a huge number of SRMs, and when it gets really hot, because a lot of SRMs, you know, I put everything into the launchers and not heat sinks, well, I just chug mana potions. Oh, well, we need to nerf SRMs. Oh, look, I'll just take a huge amount of DACA. You know, I go back to the UAC 10, UAC 5 Kodiak. That thing can, you know, we remember the times when that did a whole bunch of damage.
Oh,
well, that thing, of course, benefits greatly from having 2 mana potions it can chug. All the weapon systems, all the heat balance and mechanics are out of whack because of these damn consumables. And I think, for me at least, my suggestion is that you want to hint towards the community, hey, I think we need to solve this fundamental problem, rather than just making all the games slowly more tepid.
Well, yeah, you know, basically, I think we talked about that too. Is to actually have, I think this is through my Twitch stream that you watch. We were talking about that, where you could have it where, say, like you need a communication rig inside your mech to have airstrikes, to go call in an airstrike, because right now it's like the magic explosion button, you know, type thing. And cool shots, you need a certain type of 2 tons of having, like, you know, like each one takes like 1 or 2 tons or something like that to cool off your engine, type thing. That'll actually make more balance inside the game, instead of, like we were talking about, magic mana potions. And you know, basically, you know, just so simple, you know, things can, and then erase that skill tree, erase that part, and then people use more skills into the, you know, like either reduce the skill tree, or actually or just basically they get more skills. You basically like reduce the like number of skills, or they get more skills to spend on the rest of the skill trees. I think that'd be a lot better than, you know, I got my own personal bombardment, you know, like long tom cannon, so does he, and so does he, and then the magic eye can see everybody, you know, type thing, doesn't take any, you know, space or anything. And then the magic mana potions that we have. So it just put a lot more, I guess, balance in that, instead of actually, you know, like everyone takes, you know, every meta mech that's a laser mech that overheats a lot takes mana potions, and then they could keep on firing like crazy. You know, I mean, you know, they did try to fix it a while ago, like with the duration of the mana potions, but you know, it really didn't solve it that much. Yeah,
it's ultimately, the whole game is built around, obviously, inventory space, inventory carry capacity, and mana management, so to speak, or heat management. Yeah, or heat management in this case. And the thing is, all the consumables take no tons, no slots. They just are there. They're free to use. No, all it does is it costs a couple of skill points and C bills on your account.
Well, not even that. Not even that. You get 1 for free. And so basically, I got my own aerospace fighter that's supposed to be doing something else. He's going to drop an airstrike right there, and then so it's 12 other guys. See, that's the issue I have with it. If it took up space like a communication rig, or even give free ones to say the command mechs like the Cyclops or the Raven, that'd be fine. Give a free space or something like that. That'd be perfect, because then people would take those mechs and they'll be specific towards those mechs, because they already have the communication gear already installed on them.
Yeah, so ultimately, I think, at least, imagine if you, just like with Solaris, you remove all the cool shots. Suddenly, these very huge Alpha Strike late clan laser vomit mechs they have a huge weakness. People say, hey, look, they've got clan laser vomit, push them! And that would actually be a really good strat, because they would not be able to keep shooting.
Probably, I'm not sure yet, but I probably will, though.
You know, the differences in numbers start to make a difference.
Oh yeah. Oh jeez. Yeah.
So ultimately, in my mind, that's the thing. You solve the root of the problem. There's 2 super powerful cool shots in the game that are completely changing the whole dynamic of heat mechanics, and that is the problem behind. You know, these mechs are already really hot already. So if you deal with the fundamental problem, which is just free heat all over the place, then they balance themselves out, because there's all the weapons are brilliantly balanced. It's just these damn cool shots.
Yeah. Okay, so we got cool shots done, and the magic mana potions done. So let's go off to Rack 2s real quick.
Yes. All right. So Well, you say your experience first, Bob, and then I'll give the details.
I loved it. It was so much fun. Oh my god. I had 3 rack 2s like on a bushwhacker, and literally it just kept on going on and on and on. It was like the IanDresarie buddy, but you know, basically shooting this thing. Did a lot of damage. Every game was literally over 500 points just from 3 rack 2s, and that's all I was doing. It is freaking amazing. I put a ton of ammo and everything else. It turned out these rack 2s are now completely viable. In fact, I'm gonna change out my Marauder 3R with 3 rack 2s and screw the AC-20, screw the LB-20, and just unload, man. It is just so much fun to use now. It's crazy amount of damage. But cool. I mean, goddamn.
Yep, pretty much. I would say these changes to racks are pretty interesting. I really like them. Because again, to go through the numbers, it was like 0.6 damage to 0.7 damage per bullet. Now that sounds really small, but actually it's effectively like, I don't know, 13% increase or something like that, you know, 1/6. 13% increase to your damage output, your raw DPS. The problem with the rack 2s was always just their slightly lethargic damage. With the damage being bumped up, they actually have enough hurt for the tonnage you're investing.
Well, plus the jam bar space too by 33%. So it just kept on going. It was like Energizer. It just kept on going. That's it. It's crazy.
Well, there's quite a few factors here. So the Rack 5 was the clear winner before because it had such a huge edge on just raw DPS. The problem was it had slow-moving projectiles, 500 meters range, which, you know, it felt a little short-ranged at times with the Rack playstyle. You want to keep your distance and not let the enemy rush you down. And it was pretty down hot. It, like, putting 2 of them together gives you 8 heat per second.
That's a lot of heat.
It's a lot of heat. So when you do a dual rack 5 mech, that was often just your whole thing. But the big selling point was 22-ish DPS. Rack 2s, on the other hand, you put 3 of them together. Instead of 22 DPS, I think it's like 20-ish DPS. It's like 19 point something or other. It's really close now to rack 5s. You're still putting in, so comparison side by side, you're putting in 4 more tons and you have, you know, a point or 2 less of DPS. But the big key factors are that make this weapon so much more interesting and fun to use in respects is heat efficiency. Rack 2s are really heat efficient. They are firing 3 of them together is just 6 heat per second. As Bob is mentioning, they now fire 33% longer. So you have a similar DPS that's firing 33% more time. It actually means your burns on the enemy will hurt more. Rack 2s have faster projectiles, a 700-meter range, and one of the most efficient ammos in the game. Like, this is the most damage per ton other than MRMs. I think. I think it's the second best ammo in the game.
I mean, plus it blinds the crap out of people and they freak out like crazy too. I mean, like I was hammering assault mechs and facing them down, and they just faltered. They just like, holy crap, I'm being fired on. And so that was the greatest part about this. It's a great suppression weapon too, because people freak out doing that much damage, and literally you are doing a crap ton of damage. Just got to keep it on them, and
you could do it long range as well, 700 meters with good fast flying projectiles.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was nice, man. I mean, I just loved it for the bushwhacker. I used 3 of them, and it was just the greatest thing. It was like eating sliced bread. You know, like when it first became the first sandwich, it was like the best thing ever. Pastrami and rye.
Yeah, like the funny thing with like Rack 5 was you have like 5 seconds of solid time before you start jamming up or so, I think.
Yeah.
So 6 seconds or so. But that's about the time it takes for somebody to accidentally walk into your fire lane and then start going back. But before they've even got back, they go, oh, he stopped firing. Oh, yeah, racks. And then he jumps you. With the Rack 2s, though, it just keeps going and going. It's instead of 6 seconds, 33% means you're going up to like 8 seconds.
Yep.
That's a long time of 20 DPS on your face. Like,
exactly.
I had a match where a Highlander came up and I just shot him for like 10, 15 seconds and stripped all of his front armor.
Yeah.
He did not like that.
People underestimate the new rack damage and how long it fires. That's a good thing. People like underestimate that, and plus they know, and plus even the vets are like, oh my god, this thing is pretty powerful. I better go and do something else instead of facing this guy down. So yeah, it will change the dynamic of the game, like we talked about. Changing all different things will change dynamics of the game itself. So yeah, this
Oh
is
yeah.
good.
The rank 5s, the biggest selling point was just pure DPS. Rank 2s are catching up. You have to invest more tons, but they have so many better. Yeah, they so much more quality of life. That's
Yeah.
basically it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Quality of life racks. So for what it's worth, these are really fun racks.
Yeah, God, fun. If you watch my video that I sent out, my clip, holy cow, dude, I was having so much fun. A lot of fun. Okay.
All right, moving along.
We did the slurs challenge. Did we do that one? No, we didn't.
No, we haven't.
Okay.
But new map, Solaris City. I've hardly seen this thing in
I
the rotation.
I played it twice and no, 3 times in 5 days, 4 days, like ever since Tuesday, and that's it. I've not seen this map. I played around on it. I played around on like with the testing grounds, but that's about it. I need to see how the dynamics of where people go, what they do, where they jump to, all the different fire lanes and fire points. And I literally only played 3 times. And I did notice though, like one thing on the ramps, those are death traps, by the way. Don't go on top of the ramps unless you have jump jets, because you will be hammered down from people just shooting you. There's no cover whatsoever. And so like you might get 1 or 2 shots in of cool things, and then basically after that you got to jump off. And I've seen a lot of salt mechs go on top of that saying, oh, I'm going to go up here and go shoot people from on top and they won't know what's going. No, it doesn't happen that way. They're going to just hammer you. So definitely do that, guys. But yeah, the map, I like the map, like how it looks. It's really cool. I did notice a 20 frame drop from I think from like 90 to like 70 and 60 basically from that. So it does affect your computer, but like if you have a potato computer, it's going to be really bad for you. But if you have a computer like mine, which is brand new, yeah, it won't affect too much. But still, I did notice a lot of different things that they probably could fix or take out some lights. That might be a good idea. But like I said, I would have to know more about how the fire lanes are, where people go, because in a match or normal matches, you know exactly where people can go, period. Okay, there's 2 groups over here, they're going to go over here, and this is going to be the firing lines, this is going to be this. You know that. But with new maps, obviously, like we talked about the last map that came out, no one knows what's going on. So the first week is going to be like, oh my God, where do I go? And then people over the next couple of weeks will figure out what the advantages are for certain spots and everything. So it's a cool map, though. It's a nice map.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, I've only had a couple of matches on it, but I think there's, from a gameplay standpoint, it's interesting. There's two rough areas to it. The central area's got the big, huge, tall buildings, and it's sort of choke point city with ramps above.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
For choke point city, wherever you're, it's just like tunnels. Was it Crimson Street? And pushing through the tunnel in Forest Colony and all that type of stuff. It's all about who sets up the better concave or who does the better push. And that is interesting gameplay, and I like a map that's built all around it, though obviously it really depends on the overall quality of your team, and it's quite hard for individuals to contribute or even flank. It's the lighter mechs are able to get around more quickly and nip at people's heels and use jump jets, so there is some use there. But sometimes, though, just a well-coordinated push of us heavies and assaults is a pure game winner in that map.
But of course, though, like I did find that people don't really know how to do close quarters combat, and they just rush in, and people in the way firing lines, and they hit each other, they get pissed off, they start yelling. I did notice a lot of that, to tell you the truth.
It's going to take people a while to get used to choke point fighting, because this is all about you and your teammates' ability to hold chokes and react to little flanks and people sniping from you above, and this, that, and the other. The other areas of the map around the outside is all these low little buildings and this, that, and the other that I've hardly seen anything, because most of the objectives and people like moving towards the more open expanses, so to speak, of the thing. Like, I would say, in fact, like in terms of design, the outer areas are ridiculously cluttered. It's really difficult to move about in there. And I think that's why nobody really wants to fight there. Nobody's looking to do a wide flank around the choke point city, because it's such a hassle walking around the place. So in terms of design, at least, it feels, even in choke point city, a little bit cluttered with just buildings and stuff going all over the place. It's an absolute labyrinth in some respects.
Actually, you're right. Like same thing, Polar Highlands. They got, I mean, so much in Polar Highlands. A huge ass map, but yet everyone goes into like a 6 grid space, and that's it. That's all they do. They don't flank. They don't do anything else. And so the outer rims, yeah, it looks nice and pretty. Probably can drop some of those and make it open area or something like that to save frame space, because I mean, literally every single game I played, everyone, just like you said, went straight to the middle. Let's duke it out there, and that's it. So having the outer buildings, it just makes no sense having those there if there's nothing to have there. But of course, we only played on skirmish. I think domination we played too. So we didn't do like say conquest. So conquest might be a little bit different though, as far as people running around and having buildings to hide behind and everything. So it might be a little bit different though. But generally though, like overall, it's a hard map to get because it only has 4 game modes, and so literally out of 20 games, I played 3. So you're going to find out you're not going to play tonight. And thank you, PGI, for making a map that we need to get a challenge done that never comes up. I do appreciate that.
Hopefully they actually increase the frequency it appears, because that's been a huge letdown. New map, but I can't play it.
Yeah, exactly. And
now I have to play it, 3 times, get a win and a loss and all that. And it's, well, hopefully I find it one time next week.
Yeah.
At least more than once.
Yeah, I just never understood games that was dependent on the player base to do something to do a challenge. I never understood that, because 9 times out of 10 it never happens. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that mostly wraps up our thoughts on the Solaris. I would just say by contrast, at least I like the ramps because it adds a bit of verticality to these choke point pushes, and you have a good poking mech, possibly with like ECM and such. You can get a lot of work done, and people get really confused when they're having to deal with people on the ground and people above. You can't watch both. So I would actually say there's a big part, the ramps are still a big part of coordinated pushes, where you want to divert enemies' attention and get more guns on the firing line with good use of those ramps.
Well, of course, it was the only 3 times I played. People didn't play it much. They don't really do that kind of stuff. But yeah, you're right though. If it's used tactically, yes, it could be great. Basically that type of thing. It'll be fine. Like, and someone's in my chat saying that there are a lot of places that the ramps go to that they can hide, like little buildings and everything. So yeah, that might actually work out
if
too.
You have jump jets, you can sort of clamber around the map quite a bit.
Yeah,
but, Again, the issue is at least sometimes it's finding out where the hell the enemies are, and actually, are you really committed to hopping around rather than just running about and finding where the enemy are and shooting them?
Exactly.
All right. Just another other thing to mention was the Grim Plexus Domination map. We had a little look at this because again, I wanted to find it but never came across it. They've moved the flag from the very center of the map, where it's that big giant crater, to the hill right next to it, the one with the buildings on top.
Yeah, actually, I thought it was good. They did a good job of that. So now everyone has cover. So it's like basically it's kind of like, but you're gonna find a lot of people will start doing Ring Around the Rosie and NASCAR, and so that's gonna be an issue. Anyway. Yeah, it's gonna happen. But
it's a match of King of the Hill, though, a hill that people usually like fighting on, and the issue before is there's a little bit one-sided, with one side starting much further away. This time, though, both start about the same distance away, and both are trying to claim the same hill, so they don't have this disproportionate amount of cover and terrain that they can try and claim, to force the enemy out of the circle.
No one could just push and then push you out of the circle, basically, and then hammer you and kill you, basically. And that's a good thing. They did a good job, I have to say. Clap to PGI. They did an awesome job. Of course, I haven't played it yet. No one picked it yet. But still, I have to say, though, that was a good move on PGI, and I'll give credit what it's due, man.
Yep. All right. The next thing up was just, have you played at all with the armor redistributed mechs?
No, I haven't actually. This week's been killer, man. I finally quit my job, and I'm starting a new job like next week, so it's been killer.
Yeah. My biggest issue with it is, at least, I mean, the numbers make a fair amount of sense, though the Jenners, of course, are really sad that their arm-mounted weapons are so much more vulnerable. That's the place to aim, guys. If you want to kill a Jenner, sometimes now you shoot the torsos because it's a big target, or shoot the arms to disarm them. Choose one or the other. The Jenner is screwed either way. But the biggest nuisance for me is just pure and simple. I can't fully equip the armor on these mechs. I can't
Yes.
fully armor my Jennas. I can't fully armor my Cicadas Jagermechs anymore.
I've noticed that too, actually. I had the problem.
It's on torso armor as well. I want torso armor.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well too. Like do my mechs, it had issues as far as just something happening. It's like, okay, well that's interesting. What the hell am I going to do now? But
And just to make sure I'm clear, it's like okay, it said, oh, my loadouts are invalid, so I go strip armor, I re-equip all the armor, I click save, I switch to the next gen, I do the same thing, I go back to check the previous one, and it says, oh, hey, well, there's 7 hit points missing off the CT. Wait, what?
yeah,
And there's
no.
3 missing off each side torso. Well, I don't want that. This is, I can't. And I put the armor back on. I switch and save and switch, and again, it forgets.
Well, yeah.
No, I don't. This needs to be fixed because otherwise, I don't want to go into these mechs with subpar torso armor.
Yeah,
The torso mechs.
It'll be fixed. I'm not surprised something bad happened, but it'll be fixed. I have no issues like with it because literally I didn't play those mechs anyway, so it's okay. Yeah, I've been playing other things, but I think that's it, really, right? We got one other thing.
Mostly just the community spotlight, I think.
Yeah, the community spotlight. Let me get to it here. Let everyone know that a fellow Mechwarrior. Get it here. Here we go. Fellow Mechwarrior is in trouble, and so basically this is let's see, SWAccelerated Gaming. He's actually had a flood in his house, and so basically I'll leave links down below of what's happening, and he's trying to have a donation goal of 3,000. If we could actually get everyone to go ahead and help out, even $1 helps out to go help out, and basically a lot of things he needs, like bathroom like repairs, central air, and then a gas washer and dryer will help him out immensely for his kids as well. FEMA paid a lot of stuff, but not that kind of stuff there. So if we can help him out, guys, I'll leave links down below. Go ahead and give him, if you see him on stream, give him bits, give him like whatever you guys can, if you can. Even just linking this GoFundMe page for him would actually work out for him as well, too, in case you can't actually go ahead and go donate money or anything else. So this is a community spotlight. Let's go help out SWA. Really cool dude. And so basically we'll go from there. So yeah, if I want to do the out.
Well, you're asking that. It's just me.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Yeah.
Sure. That was the First Circuit podcast episode number 40. With me.
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
With me, Biter, and that guy over there, Bob.
That guy over there, Bob. And my wife was hammering me to go ahead and say this. She finally got her keyboard that she won through, I guess, through some game. What's that? BattleTech, the new keyboard. It's really cool. I'll send links down there too. Sorry, guys. Sorry, go ahead. She really twisted my arm in this one.
All right. Well, okay. That was episode number 40. We'll see you all guys next week. We might do story discussion since it's been a month since BattleTech's release. Who knows?
Yes, definitely. You guys have a good night, and I'll see you on the battlefield.
Bye.
See you later.